Okay. Our next speaker has become one of Africa's leading voices of youth develop, digital influence, career growth, and global opportunities. Please welcome Mr. Emmanuel Nduka.
Good day, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. I see it's been a long day. This meeting has been on for over 3 hours now. First of all, I'd like to thank Ms. Chinelo for the opportunity to be in this room with these amazing people. Right. Please, I also like that she puts on my slides, right? Put my slides on the screen, please. And while we wait for that, I would just like to say a couple of things before we eventually start our session. So during the course of my journey, one of the things I've learned is you can never be wrong starting early, right? And in fact, when I got the invitation for this speaking engagement and saw that it's young people, okay, I was wondering, okay, what's going on here? In fact, my early assumption was that it was going to be like maybe teenagers, right? And just being here for some minutes, for over an hour now. I know we have even way people way younger than I assumed or had imagined, right? I'm guessing the average age here should be probably between maybe 10 and then between 10 and 12, if I'm not mistaken. We might have people that's quite older than that, right? And then the parents that are here. So I'll first of all give kudos to the parents because what you are doing now is not a waste. It's no, we're just talking about some assets that you can invest in, tangible assets and whatnot, right? This might how do I frame this now? This might look like an intangible asset in some respects, right? But the value that you can derive from it, right? The gains are in quite a disproportionate manner, especially for the fact that you've decided to put this one through this path, right? And I go back to what I was saying earlier. I started my career, especially like my online journey now, when uh, I think I was 19 at the time, right? That's when I became like active on social media and I was creating content, talking about my vision, talking about some of the things I wanted to build and do for myself and the kind of world I envisioned around me, right? And that has led to so many wonderful opportunities. Please let's mute our mic. That has led to so many wonderful opportunities, and it's one I'm grateful for. So that's why I say to the children here, you might not necessarily understand everything that's going to be said today, right? But if there's one thing I want you to live with, is that you should always keep that spirit of learning and be eager to really understand how the world works and what's going on around you, right? So yes, maybe during the course of this session, I'm going to touch or highlight some other stuff. So yes, okay. Today we're looking at a topic that is titled uh, Gen Z Wealth Playbook, Building Your Brand and Making Smart Money. So yes, I might be older, but I'm actually a Gen Z. I'm guessing that I know that there are Gen Alphas here, right? But I'm also a Gen Z. I'm not that old. So building your brand and making smart money. Next slide, please. And I guess the question we should be asking ourselves is where are we today in our world? What are the current happenings or current activities that characterize our world today? right? Because it is only having the understanding of this that we might be able to um, derive the necessary benefits of outcome that we desire, right, for our lives. Because I mean, why our primary purpose of coming here is that we gain knowledge, we gain insights that help us to thrive in our career, in our space, or in our field. Is that we know what we ought to do for the kind of future or life we desire for ourselves, right? And it's only having proper understanding and knowledge that you will be able to achieve that. So the world has changed. That's the summary of what we're about to say, right? Traditionally, please, not yet, not yet. Previous slide. Traditionally, the path has always been, oh, just go get your education. After your education, a job, or even before getting a job, if you are from my climb over here in Nigeria, go do your national service, then you get a job, have a good paying salary if you're lucky, start a family, and then finally retire, right? But that has changed, right? Today, we are seeing that having education is no-brainer, right? There's always going to be a space for that. But there seems to be something complementary we need to add to that, and that's our skills, right? Learning skills, mastering visibility, because we know that these skills are not enough if it is not visible to the people that need solution to whatever problem your skills are or is proffering, right? And then with that visibility comes trust, right? Where people know, like, and trust you. And as a result, it cascades into opportunities that further trickles down to wealth as a result of the opportunities that you get. Next slide. So we see that today your ability to communicate your value, what is very, very crucial. And with the advent of technology, we've gone through enormous amount of technological change. And currently we live in the age of the internet, the fourth industrial revolution. Today we're talking about AI. We're living in the age of social media. And maybe this is a sad thing to say, but I mean, then again, that's the reality. It seems more people tend to live online than they tend to interact with their real environment, with the real environments around them. So, and one of the technological change we're experiencing today is social media, as I've said. Now, children, Gen Zs, young adults, and even parents now have the ability to meet anyone across the globe. I mean, look at this meeting today. We have German speakers and German audience, right? That's what technology has made possible, right? And also from where I stand here in Nigeria, I can speak to different people across the diaspora, across other parts of the world, and it's as if we're connecting in real time. So that is the power we now have today. So from the comfort of your bed, you can reach to diverse number of audience with different backgrounds, culture, language, right? And communicate or share your ideas or share your thoughts to them. So you don't necessarily need a studio. You don't need maybe global network. There are no gatekeepers. You don't have to like maybe pay humongous amount of fee before you can have access. In other words, what we're trying to say is that the barrier to entry is quite low, right? Now you can also sell your knowledge. One of the previous speakers, if I'm not mistaken, that's person of Miss Favor. Hope I didn't get the name incorrect. Right? She was talking about the fact that you can now monetize your knowledge, right? And that is the world we live in today. If you have solutions to problems, you can put those things in form of ebooks, templates, guide that people will use to uh, profile solution to the problems that they are currently experiencing. So again, no gatekeepers, access to global opportunities without traditional barriers. The door is open, but you have to walk through it. So um, those are the realities that Gen Z face today. And so the question is, how can we, next slide, how can we now position ourselves strategically, right, to ensure that we are tapping into the opportunities that our world presents or the world presents to us today. And one of such ways is to have a personal brand, right? And when you think about personal brand, it's not complicated. Yes, it can be a lot nuanced, but what we're trying to say in essence is that uh, what do people say about you when you're not in the room, right? I mean, one of the moderators just read out my bio. They said, I'm a youth advocate. I'm also into youth development. And that's really what I do. I try to see how I can connect young people to diverse opportunities. That's what I do, right? I speak to young people. I share some of my thoughts, what I'm thinking about, how we can stand out in a globally competitive world. So your brand is simply what people know you for, trust you for, and remember you for. It's not necessarily about being famous. It's just about becoming valuable and becoming known for that value, right? So if you're looking for someone, let's say you have an opportunity, you want to share it to young people. If you're looking for people that you need to speak to, I'm one of the first persons that will come to your head because, yes, Emmanuel has quite a large following of young audience and young people like him. So the question you really want to ask yourself, right? And you do not want to, I'm speaking directly to the children now. You do not want to necessarily limit yourself, right? Don't think, oh, because I'm a child, um, this is maybe not for me. Remember, I said earlier, what you have now is not something many people would have, right? And it's only as you grow, as you develop, that you truly understand what we are doing here. So, who are you? What value do you bring? And why should people pay attention to you? Next slide. Yes, that's the last question is a very important question. Why should people pay attention to you? We are not just here to maybe just dance on TikTok and that's all. No, I believe we should be people that communicate value that transcend beyond just mere entertainment, right? But rather transform lives. Um, can people see us, hear our name, and then feel inspired to take action? Can our name ring a bell and make them to say, if Emmanuel did it, if maybe Esther did it, if Bright did it, then I can do it, right? So, what is a personal brand? What is the equation? What does that really entail? What are we really talking about, right? First of all, there are four pillars to having a powerful personal brand. I want you to look at yourself now. Is first of all, know yourself. You see, we can't talk about personal brand without first answering the question of self. Are you self-aware? What are your strengths? What are your interests? And what specific problems will you like to solve for others? Maybe you can probably ignore the last question for now, but two questions you really, really need to understand is, what are my strengths? What are the things that I find easy? Um, am I good with certain kind of instruments? Do I know how to communicate my value or communicate my thoughts or ideas efficiently and effectively? Right? Do I know how to use certain kind of AI models or agentic systems or um, large language models, LLMs? Do I know how to effectively deploy certain tools? Right? These are some of the things you need to consider for yourself. What are the things that come natural to me? Right? Am I good at? Am I good? Maybe for the kids now, am I good at spelling? Do I like talking? Right? So these are some of the things you want to consider for yourself. Clarity is very important because that is the foundation of everything. That is the foundation of what your brand is, right? If you do not have clarity, such a person will just be jumping on every trend because there's no clarity, because there's no understanding, because there's no understanding of who they are. And so the world tends to define their value for them. And this is why you see people jump on so many trends, right? Because they do not have a clear understanding of who they are. So the person that does not have that does not have clarity of who he is or who she is, the world is going to give them their own identity and define who they are. And I can bet you that those kind of people never tend to go far. So if there's nothing you take out of my session today, one thing I want you to focus on as you leave this class is, who am I? Who do I be? What kind of future do I want for myself? What kind of change do I want to implement in the world around me? What kind of future or what kind of world do I want around me? All right. What's the career I want to pursue or build for myself that would transform lives, make maybe improve the outcome or standard of living of people? These are questions you really want to answer by yourself. And trust me, your parents might not be able to answer it for you. Yes, they might try, they might nudge you in this particular direction, but at a point in time, there will be a point in time where you need to sit yourself down and ask yourself this pertinent question. So there's the competence part. After you've identified yourself, who are you, then you want to start building competence around developing real skills that people actually value and are willing to pay for. Right. One of my core competencies is value communication and then brand building. Right. I know how to build an audience. I know how to rally people around a specific thoughts or an idea. Right. I know how to communicate in such a way that it makes people to move everyone ahead. I can see some people raising their hand. Please, if you have questions, you can just note it down in the chat. Then after my session, we can delve into that. Then there's communication, because it is not enough to have competence. You must master the act of communicating that competence such that you speak effectively to the people that need that competence. There are some people that do not know that they have problem, right? So one of the things you can do is to communicate uh, the value you bring. And the last one is consistency. They say nothing worth building is built overnight, right? Anything that is worth building takes time. Let's go to the next slide. I might not be able to finish through all my slides, but you have them, right? So you can actually go through them in your spare time, and your parents can just help you to look at them. So first thing you want to do is to learn. Are you learning? And that is why it's good that you are here, right? You want to learn. After learning, you want to implement what you've learned, maybe by building, right? So, uh, looking at what we're talking about today, implementing what you've learned would mean, okay, Emmanuel asked us today, who are we? What is our competence? And what value do we offer to the world, right? I will probably want to sit myself down and answer this question, at least just have an idea of what is really talking about and see how I can implement it to myself. What are the things I'm good at? What skills do I have? Do I like to speak? Do I know how to draw? Am I good with acts? Do I like to pay attention to details? These are some of the things you want to answer. And implementing them is can just be as simple, or when we say build, that can be what you should have in your mind. And another thing is to share, right? People will only know, like, and trust you because you share information, because you share things that they consider valuable. And as you keep doing that, they begin to familiarize themselves with your name. They begin to like you, the way you speak, the way you talk, the way you communicate your idea. And then uh, they now begin to connect to you, right? They now begin to form a worldview around you, form perception, right? Know, like, and trust is the key word there. And then this begins to create opportunities for yourself, right? Uh, during the course of my journey, right, using like social media, I've been able to travel around. I mean, some part of the world that I would not have been able to if I didn't know how to leverage social media appropriately, right? And for some people that don't know, I'm active on LinkedIn. That's like a professional space. That's where I have like the base of my audience, right? So this creates opportunity for you and repeat the process because sometimes you actually need to reinvent yourself. Next slide. So how do you make money from your brand? How do you make money from your brand? So one thing about the digital media is that he that commands the attention commands the cash flow. Or putting it more succinctly, what I'm trying to say is that where the attention is where the money flows, right? So you want to, in some way, right, master how to attract attention. And we're talking about good attention now, right? So your brand, depending from where you are, right, you can have some people come work for you. Maybe once you've gotten to a good stage, right? There are others you can consider. For example, the number two now says freelancing and consulting. Say I'm a marketer, I know how to market for brands. I can have people come and consult me, right? Come and just tap from my wealth of experience, from my knowledge, from some of the things I've seen in that particular industry. So that is one of the ways to monetize my brand. Another one is digital products. Okay, I know how to help market brand. I know how to build community. I know how to rally young people around. I can just put that in the form of digital products, right? In slides like this, and then I sell that. That's another form. Another one is community and membership rather. This speaks to creating events, organizing events for young people to attend, to come around, to share. I already talked about personal brand. We already talked about understanding the world we live in, the realities of disease, the advent of social media, the internet, and especially artificial intelligence, AI, right? So, first of all, you want to choose your focus area. And one of the things I advise people to do is to just, first of all, focus on your strength, right? Focus on your strengths. Pick one skill or topic you want to learn, right? Or you want to own. Right? First of all, start from where you are. What do I know how to do already? Can I learn a particular skill and master it? Number two, you want to what? Start learning publicly. Yes. Well, one thing that's is very unique or particular to personal brand is that you need to share what you've been learning. In fact, that was the way I started, right? For me, it was just about sharing what I'm learning, using social media as a form of documentary, as a form of document or journal to journal everything I'm doing, everything I'm learning. And as a result of that, I was able to build the following, right? So you want to do that because if you cannot retain what you don't share. I say that again, you cannot retain what you don't share. So the third one is to build a simple portfolio. Show proof of your ability. Rest. You want to document, right? How the thing you do, how has it helped others? What can people say about your these skills that you have or that you claim to have? What are the testimonials? You want to document them. You want to put them as your portfolio. Then engage consistently. Yes, you want to connect with people, you want to comment, and you want to add value to the conversation at hand. Right? Connect with other people in your field, in your industry, other young people like yourself. Then look for small opportunities. Yes, like I said, we are all here because we want to learn how to uh, garner opportunities, but sometimes it will not come in the grand way you expect. Sometimes it will come in a very still, small, minute way, right? That some people might want to overlook. But that is how you begin to attract greater opportunities. So in summary, what I'm saying is that If you do not start, if you do not choose your focus area, if you do not start documenting publicly, start building your portfolio, and start engaging consistently, then you deny yourself the opportunity of a track record. I say it again. If you don't start today, if you don't start now, you deny yourself the opportunity of a track record. Yes, so I'd like to stop there. In the rest of the slide, you see other things that you can take note of and then. Thank you so much.
How can you start a business by yourself with your own interest? How will you start?
Okay. Okay, that's a good question. Um, now when people think about business, the first idea that comes to mind would be maybe having a physical product, right? Uh, but I would like you to know that you yourself, you are a business, right? Your talent can be a business. So if you listen carefully, I said the first thing you want to really do is to uh, master, have a particular skill, have a particular talent, be good at it, right? And if you are good at it, you can then monetize that skill. For example, let's
Okay.
say you play the piano, right? You know how to play piano, you know how to play some kind of instruments. One of the ways to start a business out of that is to see uh, if you can train other people, right? If you can teach other people how to play that, maybe piano or flute or saxophone, right? And you charge them, right? Charge
Yeah.
them for it. So that's one simple way to look at it. There are other complicated way, but for your level, I think you can just stick to this. Identify your skills, something that you're good at, something that is your interest, and find ways to monetize it. One of the ways is to teach people, other people how to do it, or to use it and solve people's problem.
Okay. Thank you.
You. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's a wonderful one. I want to ask a simple question. I don't know if it's a funny question, but which is more important to come first, building your brand or making money, and why?
Hmm, good question. That's a great question.
Okay,
I would
thank
say
you.
that they are interrelated, right? I'll say they are interrelated because before you can even make money, right, people need to sort of know you, like you to some extent, right, before they can now trust you, right? Um, and so personal brand also comes from or takes that shape or comes from that angle, right? For some people, it might take a while, right? But eventually, if you know what you're doing, if you know how to monetize your brand, if you know how to package yourself properly, it won't take long before you can start making money. I mean, you cannot start a business today, right, and start expecting that, oh, you make all the money in the world, right? People first of all need to know, like, and trust you. So that's why I say it is interrelated, right? It just depends on uh the the specific markets.
Okay, I heard you say something about AI. So my question is, how do you protect your data from being used by AI in a harmful way on social media?
It is a bit difficult to protect your data from AI because we are in a social media time, age of information. So you need to be careful of what kind of information you put out on the internet. It's called your footprint. Whatever you type on the internet stays there. Even if you delete it the next minute, it has been stored somewhere. So before you put out any information, be sure that it's an information that will not put you in trouble in the future. As kids, it's a bit difficult to know what to share and what not to share. Yes, we are being advised to put ourselves out there, let people know what you're doing, but in reality, not every information should be out there. So you need to be careful. You need to be careful about what information you put out there. To protect yourself from AI is to know what you should not share. That's how I'll put it.